Hello, I am Gary Cannon, the artistic director of the Cascadian Chorale. Welcome to my home office. In lieu of the Eastside Sings read-through this summer, I'm going to share a few tidbits about Handel's Messiah and possibly dispel a few myths along the way. He was born as Georg Friedrich Handel with an umlaut in east-central Germany in 1685. The Germans call him that even today. As a teenager, Handel first worked in Hamburg, then 5 years in Italy, but returned to Germany for a job for the Elector of Hanover. When Georg Friedrich Handel was 27, his boss granted him 1 year's leave to visit London. He never returned. Oops. 15 years later, the vaunted Elector of Hanover became King of England, and the life of Georg Friedrich Handel, a naturalized British subject now, became complex. I think Germany still hasn't forgiven him. Handel mostly made his living composing operas, but the late 1730s were a difficult time for London opera houses, as over-competition led to closures. January 1741 saw the premiere of Handel's 35th London opera, which proved to be his last. A few months later, one Charles Jennens, an heir and gentleman scholar, presented Handel with an oratorio libretto. The text was extracted and adapted from the Old and New Testaments, and was cast in 3 parts. First, Advent and Christmas, with prophecies and the story of Christ's birth. Second, Passiontide and Easter, with the tale of Christ's suffering, death, and resurrection. The Hallelujah chorus concludes that second section. But wait, there's more! Third, Pentecost, with the promise of resurrection and redemption of humanity. It was a bold and innovative libretto, a literary masterstroke unlike any oratorio text yet written. But Handel was a professional and was loath to undertake a project without a specific performance in mind. Such an occasion appeared, fortunately, a few weeks later, when William Cavendish, Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, proposed that Handel come to Dublin and present several of his works as part of the performing season. So Handel began composing music to Jennens' libretto on August 22nd, 1741. He finished it on September 14th, 24 days later. Now this seems fast to us, but was only slightly faster than his usual pace, which you can explain because the orchestra was smaller than usual, and 4 of the choruses were adapted from Italian duets he had already written. He called his new work simply Messiah, not the Messiah. Handel did not, in fact, have high hopes for this new work. It is, after all, unorthodox in several ways. Most of his oratorios aren't overtly Christian or even biblical at all. This one has an atypically large role for the chorus. There's no plot, per se, no action, no true protagonist. And it is contemplative rather than theatrical. Messiah was not intended to be the summer blockbuster oratorio that it has become. Handel tossed it off and started working on his next project. The first performance came the next April on the 13th in 1742 at the conclusion of the Dublin season amid rapturous enthusiasm. Back in London the next year, Handel mounted his first Messiah there, where it was received rather indifferently. Admittedly, this was perhaps because 2 of the soloists were, one, a comic music hall actress, oh no, and, scandal of scandals, a divorcee. Gasp! Starting in 1745, annual performances took place, always in March or April, close to Easter, never in December. But that's okay. It's worthy of being heard any time of year. Each performance included revisions. Handel would rewrite arias entirely, and his last public performance in 1759, blind and partly paralyzed, he conducted Messiah. Posthumously, these annual performances grew in 1784 to 261 singers and 229 instrumentalists. This grew even more in the 19th and 20th centuries. People added more woodwinds, more brass, more percussion. But over the last 40 years, scholars have returned to Handel's original manuscripts in attempts to recreate sounds that he might have heard. Messiah may be the most universally beloved music yet written, but it does have more evolution yet to go and offers something special at every appearance. While it is unfortunate that we aren't singing Eastside Sings this year, there's still so much music in the world. May good physical and mental health be your companion during these difficult times, and may great music sustain you. Thanks for watching.